It's taken a while for me to have the courage to be able to tell this story, but here we go. My hands shake as I type, and every creak in the house sends chills up my spine. But maybe sharing it will lift the weight that's been bearing down on me since that night in the Pine Barrens. We arrived at the campsite on a brisk autumn afternoon, 6 of us, Mia, Anna, Mark, Sarah, Tom, and me. We set up our tents among the towering pines, feeling the thrill of adventure pulse through us. Autumn leaves crunched beneath our boots as we gathered around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and telling ghost stories, unaware of the darkness looming just beyond the flickering light. "Have you heard of the Jersey Devil?" Mia said, her voice barely rising above the crackle of the fire. She pulled out an old book, its pages yellowed with age. "It's supposed to haunt these woods, Mother Leeds's cursed child. People say you can hear its screams echo through the trees." I laughed it off with the others, trying to ignore the flicker of unease creeping into my mind. We were just here for a fun weekend, right? But as the night deepened and shadows danced around us, I felt something shift. Anxiety began to coil in my stomach like a tight knot. Then, for some reason, we decided to hike to a nearby overlook. I didn't want to go, but the group was excited, and it was hard to say no. The trail twisted into the heart of the forest, the trees closing around us. The moonlight pierced the darkness, casting eerie shapes that made me feel like we were being watched. When we reached the overlook, the view took my breath away, but it didn't last. The air grew heavy, thick with a strange tension. I wanted to go back, but Mark and Anna were giddy, soaking in the moment. I stayed quiet, hoping the fear wouldn't show on my face. Then, it happened. A scream, sharp, terrible. It echoed through the trees, and I felt something primal awaken within me. "What was that?" Sarah stammered, her voice shrill. "It's probably just an animal," I managed to say, my heart racing. But deep down, dread seeped into my bones. Moments later, the group began to splinter. One by one, they drifted further into the shadows, drawn away by that sound. I hung back, hoping they'd return, but when I turned to look for them, they were gone. Panic surged as I called their names, my voice cracking. The forest was quiet, too quiet. That's when I saw it, a shape moving between the trees. I ran. Throughout the woods, shadows morphed and danced, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. I stumbled upon strange symbols etched into the ground, something ancient, something alive. I could feel it breathing around me, a weight pressing down on my chest. I had to find my friends. As I searched, the darkness enveloped me, unforgiving and omnipresent. I had no idea where I was, no idea who was still alive. The last sight I remembered was the flash of something, the creature. It had leathery wings, almost human, eyes piercing the darkness like daggers. The Jersey Devil. I could hardly say the name without feeling bile rise in my throat. It stretched its wings, and I knew it was out for blood. I don't remember much after that. I was lost in fear, adrenaline surging through my veins, pushing me to flee. I ran, not knowing where I was going, just trying to escape whatever horror lurked behind me. I called out for my friends until my voice grew hoarse. Only echoes answered me. Hours felt like days, and when dawn finally crept through the trees, its light didn't feel like salvation. I stumbled back toward the campsite, terror gnawing at my insides. The only thing that greeted me was silence, a stillness that felt unnatural. I was alone. My friends were gone. The laughter and stories that had once filled the air were now replaced by a chilling emptiness. I knew that something needed to be done. I got in my vehicle and left. I barged into the police department, my heart pounding like a drum. "Please, you have to help me. My friends are missing," I pleaded, desperation spilling out in every word. The officer at the front desk barely glanced up from his paperwork and replied, "People wander off the trail all the time. You should just give them some time." I felt frustration bubble inside me. But it's been hours. They wouldn't just leave without telling me. "Something's wrong." He shrugged, flipping through the pages on his desk. "Look, if they're adults, they can take care of themselves. Just wait a bit longer." I couldn't stand it. While panic gnawed at me, I could see other officers yawning, clearly uninterested in my plight. I stood there, ready to plead again, but then the detective walked in. He looked weary, his eyes scanning the room. "Is there a problem?" he asked, finally noticing me. "It's my friends. They're missing in the woods," I interrupted, trying to convey the enormity of my fear. The detective sighed, folding his arms. "We'll send a team, but we can't just mobilize everyone for a couple of missing people. It happens." Frustrated by their indifference, I felt a spark of determination. "I want to come with you. I can help. I know where they went." After a short discussion among the officers, they reluctantly agreed. I joined the search party, my heart racing with a mix of hope and dread. As we trudged through the underbrush, I pointed out the trails where they might have wandered off, looking for any signs of my friends. But I wouldn't give up. Every rustle in the bushes was a reminder of what I was lost without. Hours turned into what felt like an eternity as we combed the woods. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that made every tree look like a specter lurking just out of sight. And then, through the thick brush, I spotted something. My heart dropped as I raced toward what looked like a backpack. "Over here," I shouted, and the officers rushed up to join me. And there, in a small clearing, I found them. The ground was disturbed, and the heartbreaking truth hit me like a tidal wave. My friends lay motionless, the reality of my worst fears suddenly tangible. I fell to my knees, the world around me fading into a blur. "Jake," one of the officers called, coming up beside me. But their voices were distant, echoes in a suffocating silence. I felt hollow, a mix of sorrow and disbelief crashing over me. I had begged them for help, but in the end, it was my determination that led me to this devastating discovery. The reality of my loss was insurmountable, and I realized the indifference of those who should have cared wouldn't change the painful truth. My friends were gone, and nothing would ever be the same. The lesson is, don't go into the woods of Jersey. There's nothing that you need to look for.